Hello, this is a short little video about the use of pollution permits and why permitting pollution might be a better solution to the environmental damage done by pollution than setting strict quotas on what companies can pollute. And so to get to our idea of how pollution permits work and how they are a good solution, we're going to take an example of three hypothetical companies, right? Quick, Duff, and Burns, that all dump pollution into a lake. And in this situation, right, Quick dumps in 2 tons of pollution, Duff dumps in 4 tons of pollution, and Burns dumps in 8 tons of pollution. And for a grand total of 14 tons of pollution that's dumped into the lake. Now, these companies are dumping it in as part of their regular business process, and right, as long as the lake goes unprotected, right, it's a common resource, they dump into it, and that can create a negative externality, negative costs on other users of the lake. So the government steps in and the government says that it has a goal to reduce the amount of pollution from 14 down to 6 tons. That's the goal for the government. Now the question is how to get to that goal. Well, there's 2 ways that they can try to achieve this goal. One is to limit each company to producing only 2 tons of pollution. They will have to clean up all the other pollution that they make. And you can see here that the different companies have different costs of cleaning up. So if we were to think about each company has to pay to clean up all their pollution beyond their 2 units of pollution, their 2 tons of pollution, well, how much is it going to cost them? Well, if they're limited to 2 tons, well, what's the cost going to be? Well, Quick doesn't have to pay anything, right? They pay 0 because, right, they only have 2 tons of pollution. So they're exempt from this. Duff has to clean up 2 tons of its pollution at $3, right? That's going to be a total of $6 to clean up. Burns has to pay $2 for clean up 6 tons. That will be $12. And the grand total of this policy is $18 to the companies. So that's how much this policy of limiting the amount of pollution down to 6 tons is going to cost these companies. Now, while the goal of the policy might be desirable and right, this will reduce other costs created by the negative externalities, the question is, can we achieve this goal at a lower cost than the $18, right? Can we get to the same goal with a lower cost? Now keep in mind as well that for this situation, these companies, well, it's costing them money and they might prefer to find a cheaper alternative, right? So let's see about a pollution permit system. Suppose instead of limiting to 2 tons, we were to give each company 2 pollution permits, right? Each permit allows them to clean up, each permit allows them to pollute 1 ton, right? So the more permits you have, the more you can pollute. So Quick will have 2 permits, Duff will have 2 permits, and Burns will have 2 permits. Now, the thing about the permits is that they're tradable. Quick could trade off or sell its permits to other companies. And in this situation, we would actually expect Quickie to actually sell off its permits to the other companies as a way to try to make some money. And the reason for that is it's really cheap for Quickie Mart to actually clean up its pollution. It only costs $1 a ton. So if it can sell its permits for more than $1, it's gonna sell its permits. The question is, who is it gonna sell them to? And this is where this gets a little bit tricky. There are 2 potential buyers of permits. Well, who they'll sell it to all depends on how much the different companies, the other companies, are willing to pay for them. Right? How much are Duff and Burns willing to pay for them? Now, we're going to assume that Quickie doesn't care who they sell it to. What they are going to do is they're going to sell it for the highest price possible. Well, imagine a situation where Quickie lets Duff and Burns both know that they're selling their 2 permits and that they'll sell it for the highest price. Well, of course, Duff and Burns will both offer to buy them, and they will start bidding up the price. Once the price hits $2, Burns is going to drop out of the bidding. After all, once the price for a permit reaches $2, it's cheaper for Burns just to clean up its own pollution rather than keep raising the price. Whereas Duff is willing to raise the price all the way to $3, right? Quickie could probably get Duff to pay up to $3 for a permit, but the thing is, Duff doesn't have to pay up to $3. They just have to outbid Burns, which will happen at $2. So the permit system, right? The price for a permit will equal $2, because after that, Burns drops out of the bidding. And so Duff can buy Quickie's permits for $2. Now this has some interesting effects, right? First of all, let's make it easy on us with Burns. Burns, we'll take care of them first. They neither buy nor sell a permit, right? But they do have 2 permits, which allows them to pollute 2 tons, and they have to clean up all the remaining tons. So for Burns, the cleanup cost remains $12. That hasn't changed. But check it out now. Duff doesn't have to pay $3 to clean up. It doesn't actually have to clean up at all. Duff isn't really cleaning up, they're just buying the permits. But they're buying the permits for $2. They are buying 2 permits at $2, 2 times $2, which will give them a $4 cost. Quick buys, right? Quick will buy, Quick we'll start with first Quick cleaning up its pollution. It has to pay $1 for 2 tons to clean up, but it will also subtract from its cost, right, the fact that it's being paid $2 for its 2 tons. And so for Quick, it actually has a cost here of negative $2, right? Quick is actually making money on this scheme. Quick is pretty happy about this. So if we think about it, our net cost is 12 plus 4, that's 16, but then we minus out $2 here to give us a cost of $14. So this second plan, which gets us down to 6 tons, it gets us down to 6 tons with these companies only losing $14. The reason why it's less is because Duff has basically, has cleaned up nothing, but it's gotten Quickie to clean up all of its pollution. The basic idea with pollution trading permits is that from the point of view of the environment, it doesn't matter who is doing the polluting. All that matters is the net amount of pollution. So if we can create a system where the polluters who could clean up at the lowest cost clean up, we could achieve this goal at a lower cost. The question is, how do we incentivize a situation where the people with the cheapest pollution clean up? Well, we get it by making the most expensive polluters pay them to clean up. What's really going on here is Duff is paying Quickie Mart to clean up its pollution. And because it's cheaper for Duff to do that, Quickie Mart is quite happy to do this because they end up $2 ahead, and Duff is really happy to have this system because they don't have to pay what they used to pay, right? They used to pay $6, now it only costs them $4. So this system gets to the same outcome, 6 tons of pollution for a much lower cost, and actually 2 of these 3 companies are happy with this pollution trading permit system. And this is why most economists would like to see a pollution trading permit system, otherwise known as a cap and trade system, because it gets to this final solution. Now the last question in this problem has to deal with little Lisa. Lisa is an environmental activist, and she doesn't like any of this pollution. She thinks that all this pollution should be gotten rid of. right? Any pollution is bad. That can be you can make an argument for that all pollution is bad and we should get rid of all the pollution. The question is, who's going to pay for it? I mean, these companies, we're not going to assume that they're evil. We're going to just assume that they pollute as part of their business, right? They're trying to make money. Well, between these two plans, the quota plan or the pollution trading permit system, Lisa should like the pollution trading permit system. After all, if she wants to get rid of pollution, she could go off and she could buy permits as well, right? There's still 6 outstanding permits here. She could start to buy Burns's permits for $2 each. She could then go on to buy Duff's permits, right? For the point of view of the environmental activists, that second pollution trading permit system, environmentalists, they could go out and they could buy the permits and just not use them. The nice thing about the pollution trading permit scheme is just because you buy the permit to pollute doesn't mean you have to pollute. So it actually creates a system where environmentalists can actually buy the right to pollute and not use it. And the companies are happy with that because the environmentalists would then be paying these companies to clean up. And it would be a much more sort of smooth, efficient process rather than going through the rigmarole of the political process to try and achieve it by forcing on quotas.